Welcome back to the Road to 1 Million podcast. Today's guest is Grant Menard, who really needs no introduction. Grant is the owner of Menard Premium Detailing outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and has built up a powerhouse of a detailing company doing $3 million a year in gross sales with 22 employees. Today, Grant is really not even involved with the day-to-day of the business. The business essentially runs itself. But this week's podcast is focused on his time at Menard Detailing and how he's built up such an incredible company that basically runs itself now. There's a ton of really good information in this week's episode, and I hope you guys can find some kind of value in it. Huge thanks to Grant for coming on the podcast. Don't forget, you guys can use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Grant Menard. Grant, thank you for coming on the Road to 1 Million podcast.
Yeah, Josh, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Super excited to talk with you today. So can you just start with telling me how you got started with car detailing and what year was it?
Yeah, so the original year was like 2015. So I graduated from Penn State in 2014. Jumped in the pharmaceutical industry, was just detailing. Oddly, it came out of nowhere. I was actually out of college working at my high school job, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So was working at a local pharmacy called Whitman Pharmacy at the time, and bought my Mustang that I had worked my butt off to afford in college at a internship. So I had my Mustang, was always detailing it just because that's how, my mom's OCD. Her house is always clean. My dad kind of taught me when I was younger to keep things clean. He would detail his motorcycle before he went on the road, and when he got back, he would detail it again, which never made sense because he would just detail it before he went out the next day. So it was just kind of how I was raised, to take care of the things that you purchase. And the lady walked down from the local post office when I was working one day and said, "Hey, who details your car? It's always so clean." And I said, "Well, I do." And she asked me, "Hey, will you detail my husband's car for his birthday?" And I said, "Absolutely." It was a Pontiac Vibe. I'll never forget that car. It was an absolute destroyer. Like, that thing was beat to crap. So my buddies, that was on like a Wednesday, and I told my buddies, "I have this detail that's coming in on Saturday. It's my first job." I didn't even know what to charge her. I actually just asked her what she would pay for it, and she said, I think it was like $200 at the time, which is a lot of money coming out of college. So my buddy said, "Well, you got to come out drinking with us the night before, and if so, we'll help you on the detail." So I did, and the detail came the next day, and one of my buddies was passed out in the grass and didn't help us at all. My other buddy, Max, was removing Pontiac logos and helping me out detail this whole thing, and we got the thing done. So it kind of came out of nowhere, and from 2015 to 2018, it was just side gigs. So it was just for beer money or weekend money, and honestly, it was just to keep me, because I actually got into the pharmaceutical industry in a space called managed care. So I did that for about a year and a half, and it was a pretty intensive job. So at night, detailing was my way to kind of just relax. So I would just do, a car wash a night or have a detail a week. It was something super small. And then I decided in 2018 to leave my full-time job, my pharmaceutical job at American Medical Communications. And I was sitting there, and that was based off ethics, not because I didn't love the job or because I wasn't great at my job. I actually excelled at it, but ethics kicked in. I wasn't aligned with the beliefs of pharma. So I decided to go all in on the detailing world because that's what I knew. And I was definitely an entrepreneur at the time. Still am. Not just at the time, it was just part of who I am. So I said, well, I know detailing. Let's see what will happen with this. And it was only supposed to be, Josh, to keep me busy until I could figure out what I wanted to do. And it just blew up. So it was a complete fluke on how this happened. If the lady at the post office never walked down and asked me to detail her husband's smoker car Pontiac Vibe for his birthday, I wouldn't be here today, at least in this industry.
Yeah, I think I heard from someone, I don't know who it was, maybe it was in a book I read, that your passion, your job, it kind of picks you to a certain extent. And I think that was kind of a great example of that for you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I've always loved it. And there's something that you get at the end of each detail that just makes you feel good about it. Like there's that sense of pride of the before and after. Like customers will never really see the processes, but I was the one that was taping carpets halfway down the center of it just to get a before and after.
Yeah.
And I even every once in a while, I'll go back to our old Instagram post because that's how we kind of got started. And when Instagram was first coming up, and I'll look back at what I was posting before, I'm like, wow, I was super into it. Not saying I'm not anymore, just taking a little bit different route than it did when I first started. But we took, the pridefulness that comes from it. You feel super successful after every single job. And really just don't get that anywhere else.
Hmm. Yeah, I was in finance before I started doing detailing when I graduated college, because that's really what I always wanted to go into was like personal finance. Um, but it's similar thing I think to probably the pharmaceutical industry,
Hmm.
where it's like the ethics and morals definitely you start conflicting there, and detailing is so pure because there's no way you can scam someone with a detail. Like you either see it,
Mm-mm.
it either looks good when you're done or it doesn't, right?
Yeah, 100%. And there's no cap. It's endless. That's the best part about it. Like there's guys that just can be weekend warriors, and the industry will support that. And just like I was at the beginning, and then there's people that want to make $10 million a year, and it supports that too. So there's no there's no level that this industry won't provide to each person. It just depends on what they want to go after and what they want to get,
Hmm.
and you can't beat that.
So did you start off mobile or did you get a shop pretty quickly?
Now I was out of my mom's garage. That's a funny story. So we were at my mom's garage, and I was detailing. She wanted to support her son. I was still living at home at the time. And when I left pharmaceutical, or the pharma world, I had. So when I say pharma, it's PHARMA, not farms. People always get that mixed up when I say it. I think I
Yeah.
talk a little loud at times. So when I left the pharma world, I had some savings saved up. I excelled at that job. I actually made it further in 18 months than people did in 20 years. So I kind of hit my cap, which I think was also a driver for me to leave um, that job, because I like to build stuff, which I've come to realize. I like to build, and then once it's built, I move on to the next and want to make it build and operate. So I hit my cap at 18 months into this job, and I got bored fairly quickly because there's nowhere else for me to go. So when I left, I started out in my mom's garage. She gave me one of her bays, and the deal was, hey, you can do this, but you need never block my garage door, and don't put any cars in the grass.
Mm.
So we did that for a while, and I ended up buying a mini school bus because I always wanted to buy an ambulance for some reason, or a fire truck. I always thought it'd be cool to move forward with, or buy an old fire truck and turn that into a mobile rig. And then once I actually talked to my firefighter buddies, they're like, dude, if you put any of this water pressure on a car, you're going to blow a hole into the side of it. So I just had this whole vision. So I was like, all right, well, what's next? I was like, mini school bus, sick. So I found this nonprofit school that's about an hour away. They were selling one on Facebook. I think it was Facebook or Craigslist, one of the two. And I ended up went and bought it. And all I had to do was donate to the school because they were a nonprofit. They couldn't sell me the bus, but I was able to donate. So I bought the bus for $2,500. It had 40,000 miles in it, old Chevy G30. And ended up pulling it into my buddy's paint booth that he had. I used tractor paint, sprayed the whole thing gloss black, ripped the whole inside out, put a water tank in, redid the floors, put a crazy sound system in it, all the equipment that you would need that would go in there, strapped it all down. And the best part about school buses is they can take a ton of weight. So I could basically load in as much as I wanted to in there, and it would be totally fine. I actually drove it down to, I went on like a cross country trip in it and did a cross country detailing trip just to see how far our reach went. So anyway, so I did that for a while. And then our mom, we closed a Jeep dealership locally, $100 a car. Awesome. I was like, sick. This is incredible. And they said, we have 7 Jeeps to drop off. And I said, cool. And I talk so highly of our business, just like I always have and always spoken into existence. I was saying, yeah, we have a great team. We have a phenomenal facility. So once we actually closed the contract, they said, all right, we have, we'll give you first 7 cars. And so I thought they were going to drop one off at a time. No, dude, they brought a double stacked trailer to my mom's house
Oh my gosh.
and dropped all 7 cars. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
gosh.
oh God. And I had to put them exactly where my mom told us not to, in the grass and in front of her garage door. So she comes home, understandably. And she was already fed up at this time because it was a lot. And I had just hired, 2 high school kids to come over, Mikey and Colin, to come over and just help out at night. Mikey's still with me till today, which is pretty cool. So it was it was a really cool transition. But she rolled up to me on a Thursday and she said, all right, that's it. You're done. Like when a mom, they hold things in until they're fed up.
Yeah.
So that's it. You're done. You're out. And she still regrets it to this day. I'm like, Mom, that's the best thing you ever did. Because by Monday, we were in our first shop. And that's that's when it all started. That's when the boom really happened, is once my back was against the wall, because now I have expenses that are coming on board. Now I have a team I have to bring in 9 to 5, and then I have space I have to fill.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got into that mindset, it was game over.
So did you keep going the dealership route or?
No, hell no. We didn't take a dealership on until about 2 years ago. We ended up in Porsche. I was going after our local Porsche dealer for about 3 years, and I was walking in every single week for about 2 years straight.
Wow.
So because I wanted that dealership. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? The business was taking off. Our retail side was booming. And one of our clients, Rocky, was coming in. He just bought a brand new Targa GTS, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you come in? I want you to spec this car out with me. I want to show you that Porsche experience that you get. Go into the Porsche experience room, build out, all the way down to the stitching that you want, the color leather, color exterior, color wheels, color calipers." Like, I didn't realize how intensive and how integrated Porsche is into the customization side. So I was sitting there, and next thing you know, Charlie Vale, who's still there, car salesman at the time, who was already sending us work on the side. We can go on for hours about this whole deal, but he came in, he goes, "Hey, our GM wants to talk to you. Do you mind stepping out?" And I was like, "Oh God, he's going to be PO'd because Charlie's been sending us work and bypassing their current detail center that they were using, and I'm about to get reamed in." That wasn't the case. So Mark Brenner, awesome guy, super supportive of us. We have a great relationship that is sprawled over this. He came in, he's like, "Hey, I want you to take over. I know who you are. I know what you do. The majority of our customers are already bypassing us and come to you direct. So what's it going to take for you to come in full time?" So we ended up putting 2 guys there. That was part of the deal, that just detail every single car. They probably do 60, 70 cars a week over there. And then we trailer, pick up, and drop off every single car for PPF coating and window tint. So we have 2 trucks and trailers that are rolling over to Porsche almost every single day to pick up and drop off cars. And we bring them back to our facility, do the work, and send them back. So the wholesale side of it was never something I wanted to get into, but I just found a dealership that actually appreciated who we were and who we are and the work that we do. And they were willing to sell it with our name behind it. So they're selling it as Menard doing the job to all their customers, which is pretty cool. And our name, thanks to your Able, was Carfaxed in every single car. The ones that are getting washed in the detail bay, all the way up to the ones that we're bringing to the shop that are getting full body film and coatings.
Yeah, that's
so our
really
name's tattooed on all these exclusive cars, which is pretty rad.
Yeah, that's awesome. That seems really rare that a dealership would put the credit to you.
Completely rare. Yeah, well, that was part of the deal. So at Penn State, I went through a negotiation course. It was one of the 2 courses that I actually passed at Penn State, and so during that negotiation course, it was exactly that, teaching you how to negotiate, and I love it. I love negotiating. So part of the deal was, hey, I'll give you an extra 10 points off, but everything's branded to us, which is probably the best thing I ever did, because the reality is we don't make much off Porsche, like most wholesale accounts. But the marketing opportunities that we are able to derive out of Porsche because they're one of, I think, 7 or 10 exclusive dealers in the States. So all these rare specs that are coming in, and we're all on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids. Everyone's talking about the cars that are the Carfaxes. So the fact that the majority of these cars are going to hit Cars and Bids or BAT at some point, and then our name's going to keep coming up, Menard. Mm-hmm. That's the whole goal around this. So we gave them an extra 10% off if they were to sell the Menard package. And the reality behind that is then we get the other customers' cars, not just the Porsche car that they bought, but if they buy a Porsche, they have other cars. So now we get their other 2, 3, 4 cars and build a relationship forever with them.
Yeah, it's like not everything in business up front always has to be profitable, right?
No, it's a loss leader there.
Yeah, which I think is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, especially when, over there we do $600,000 to $800,000 a year. Wow. So to not make money, it's big risk, ton of risk when you think about it for very small profitability. I mean, we're maybe at a 7 to 10% profit over there, maybe. But I'd lose $100,000 a year over there because it drives so much traffic to the rest of the business. And we can utilize the likeness of, hey, we're a Porsche Warrington, a Porsche exclusive detailing company, and that builds trust fairly quickly and credibility with our retail customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
So hopefully that gave you kind of I know it's a little longer, but some insights into kind of our first shop and everything else. But we were mobile for a little bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So going back, how did you guys get your? Did you have like a game plan for your marketing whenever you guys first got your first shop, as far as like how you were going to go about getting retail clients?
So this might surprise you, Josh, because it surprises most people I tell. We've never run a single ad ever. Outside of a 90-day turn that we did, and that was for my consulting company, because all these people are asking, hey, ads, and I've never run an ad before. And all these people were like, we don't understand ads, and I wanted to understand it. So I dumped a ton of money with the top 3 agencies, and it was a complete flop. Basically bought a Lamborghini and a Honda Accord showed up. So it was bad. So our marketing, it was all boots in the ground. I was on Instagram Live when that was a thing, about 6 to 8 hours a day, every single day. So while the guys were detailing the shop or detailing cars, laying coatings at the time, we weren't into film or tint. While they were doing that, I was on Instagram, and I used to say Instagram, and I jump on there and just launch whatever was on my mind. And, hey, here's a car that we're doing. Hey, here's part of the business that we've seen. Hey, here's a car show that we're going to. Here's a cool customer that we got to talk to today. It's really pulling out my experience. And what I realized is I was telling a story that all these local customers loved. And I was a young hustler too. Customers loved support. Like now, once I hit my 30s, that went away. When you're in your 20s, fresh out of college, leaving, like we're in the pharmaceutical world over here. The majority of our towns are in pharma businesses. So once I told them I left that detail cars, like what? And I'm like, yeah, it's passion driven, blah, blah, blah. And I was sharing my story. People just hopped onto that. So we got into something. John Rulin wrote a book called Giftology. And I read that back. I was in a men's group called Epic Impact at the time. So you had to make over 6 figures a year just to get involved into this group. It's pretty expensive to do. You would take a retreat once a quarter. That's actually, I was at one of those retreats when I decided to quit. They helped me through that journey. And if it wasn't for that group, I'd still be stuck in that world. So when I was there, John Rulin was there and talked about giftology and the value of gifting and what impact that has on people, especially within a business. So we really honed in on giftology, handwritten notes. We get these little chocolate boxes out. It's expanded so much further since then. And the level of experience that we get is wild. Even half the things that we come up with, I'm like, holy crap, how the hell did we pull that off? So our marketing was really how to, taking professional photos of the cars, sending them in emails to the customers, posting them on Facebook, Instagram at the time, kind of Twitter. Twitter wasn't really even a big thing at the time for our customer list. And then we tag them. We'd ask them what their names were on Facebook and Instagram. We would tag them. And then guess what? Now that's on their thread for all of their connects to see. And then it just went from there. And we ask for referrals every single time. So I don't care if a person's been here 50 times, we still ask them for referrals. So we're a referral-based company, 100%. It's like 70% of our customers are returning, 30% are new.
How do you ask for referrals?
Simple and easy. I'll let you know think of how many times I've said this. So quality or consistency has to come across the shop. The way that you dress, the way that you're presented, the way the quality of the work is done, the way your team presents themselves, all the way down to your business cards. Most people are just getting those plastic business cards, even those Moo cards, but those things crack and break. And we learned this because we put one on a windshield at a car show, and the dude called us. We had to replace his windshield because it rained. He didn't know it was there and actually stained his glass.
Wow.
Right. So this just happened as a fluke. So everyone wanted these metal business cards. I'm like, okay, those are cool, but that's pretty expensive. So we actually went with plastic business cards, thick plastic business cards, which feel like a gift card, just a little bit thicker, super high quality, and they don't break. You can bend them 100 times over. So again, quality comes all the way down to the simplest detail is what we've taken it down to, which is business cards. So we give three business cards. Instead of putting them in a car with a microfiber that's branded to you, we actually hand them to the customer when they're checking out. And we say this exact line: hey, here's 3 business cards. If you don't mind passing this out to 3 friends that would appreciate the same level of service that you got today, we'd greatly appreciate it. We built this company off referrals, and to make sure that we can still service you in the future, we ask you pass these out. I've said that 20,000 times. So we ask them and hand it to them. And the reality around that, it's called the heaven to hell method. We take them to heaven at first. Thank you so much. Think about the customers. Then we take them to hell. Hey, we built this company off referrals, and to make sure we can still service you in the future, which is like, oh my gosh, I have to pass these out now. We ask you pass these out. So that's a psychological thing I learned years ago from Tony Robbins, which is the heaven to hell method, which we've utilized in multiple different facets of our experience with customers and our sales process.
Was Tony using that with referrals too?
Tony's used it. Yeah. Tony uses it in a lot of different ways. If you actually if you've watched any of Tony's seminars, you can kind of hint on it now. Cause I really dove into Tony Robbins. I mean, my brother, when I graduated from Penn State, took me to Unleash the Power Within in Chicago. So I went through my first retreat there, or seminar there with him for 3 days. And I got really involved because I was like, holy crap, it had a massive impact on me and thousands of others that were there. So I was like, how does this guy do it? So I started really diving into Tony Robbins and some other heavyweights that were there. And at the time, Grant Cardone was just now getting into the world. Was when he had his first 10X growth conference. I went up to that. That was years ago. So I started getting involved with all these guys. I'm like, how do these guys do it? It was just intrigue. And it was all about the power connection. So how can you connect with somebody very deeply to where their trust barrier breaks down to where no matter what you say, they're gonna feel like they're in a great space with you. So that's what I did. I started diving into that using mirroring and matching. That's a big Tony Robbins. He was the one that was kind of how we got into this. So mirroring and matching was a big one.
What's that?
So mirroring and matching. So he actually, I think it was day 2 that we were there, and you literally mirror and match. So the way that my tone is presented right now, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's become natural to me. My tone is set to the same tone that you're at. So if you came out of this call and you're like, Grant, what's going on? How you doing? I'm like, Josh, what's up, dude? Great, man. How are you? Right, and the energy's super high, but you're a low tone guy. Totally fine. So my tone drops now organically because your tone's down, so that we have a much more powerful connection. If you were cursing, I'd be cursing. If you're using some big words, I'm going to pretend like I know what those words mean. So it's, how can you do that? And the way that people, like the way that you're sitting right now is the way I'm sitting. Like if you're leaning back, I'd be leaning back. If you're up and close, I'd be up and close. If you're holding your mic like this, I'd be holding it. Now it's come natural, but it provides a level of comfort for the person that you're talking to. So we started learning this, and he's like, go to a restaurant, and this is what we all did. Go to a restaurant tonight, and I want you to pick up anybody that's within eyesight of you. And when they pick up your fork, you pick up your fork. When they pick up their drink and take a sip, you pick up your drink and take a sip. When however they're sitting, if they have their leg crossed, you cross your leg. He goes, do it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then watch. You pick up your fork. Subconsciously, they picked up their fork. I was like, there's no way. I did it that night. We did it at Chili's. So there's no way. I picked up my drink. Subconsciously, that person picked up their drink. I was like, holy heck, how cool is this? So I started really diving into the mirroring and matching all the way down to, initial connections that you have with somebody when they walk through the door. So automatically I go up and I touch a person's shoulder because I want to see where their safe place is. If they let me touch and they don't back up, if they back up, they got that barrier around them. Now I got to break it down. If they're super comfortable right away, I know automatically I have their trust from the start. So that's a person that provides trust initially. I don't need to build it, but I make sure I never break it. And then the other side of it is there's a person that has their bubble around them, their safe place. And it's my job to now break that down. And what I'll do is I'll talk to them. I'll take a step closer, and I get to the point where they stop moving. So once they stop backing up, now I know I have it. Now I know we can have a real conversation. So that's kind of what mirroring and matching is. So you can do it with tone, with verbiage. You can do it with body language, with positioning. There's a lot of different spots that you can do it with, depending if you're on a phone call in person like this, or if someone's actually standing right in front of you, or if you've never talked to a person ever. And it builds way deeper conversations than you'll ever have. And people will open up about their lives. And at the end of it, I've had this conversation multiple times. That's why I love it so much. Where people at the end of talking to me for an hour or two would be like, wow, I've never shared that with anybody. Like, I don't know why I felt so comfortable around you. So it's pretty cool. And I don't use it in a deceitful way. Like, I'm not trying to get them to sell. It's just I love connection. So, and I love hearing people's stories. So if I can benefit in any way by utilizing some things that, again, have come natural because I've spent thousands of hours integrating it into my life, just like Tony Robbins has done. So if I can build these powerful connections that give me a sense of belief, and then provide that person with, a little bit of openness, then, it's a win-win across the board.
Mm-hmm. What other ways do you find useful to help someone that maybe you can sense doesn't trust you up front?
Yeah.
Whether that's on the phone or in person, what other ways do you have to break that barrier?
So most people in initial conversation, people see it as sales. We've never seen it as sales. We don't even sell. So we build connection. So we just the goal is to ask as many questions as possible until the person starts talking. Like, make them feel so uncomfortable where they're kind of forced to open up a little bit. And then once you find something that they're intrigued in, or that they're passionate about, you just have to find intrigue in it and be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, tell me more about that. Like, we have a guy, Armando, that builds nuclear plants. And he was one of those guys initially that was not, it wasn't that he didn't have trust, but it took us a little bit to open up to where we can have like a real back and forth conversation. We didn't have to ask all the questions. When you're asking all the questions, that means that that it's going to take you some time. Once the person starts asking you questions back, that's when you know that barrier is broken down. So our goal is just to get to the person where they have to start asking us questions. We won't let them get off the phone until then.
Wow.
So you just build it, and you get intrigued by it. Like there's so many things that we've learned out of these people that are like, what the heck? Why do you choose that? Like, how did you get into that? Right. And then when we build that sense of like, wow, like teach us something. People love to teach. We're all humans are storytellers. So when they can tell us their story, and it's not we're just like interested in it, people are going to want to learn more about it. So that's kind of how we've not broken people down. That's how we've built trust with a lot of our customers. And our guy Mikey does a phenomenal job at it now too.
My mind immediately goes to this date I went on with this girl that after about 45 minutes of asking questions, I was like, oh, that's where we're going to call it.
Yep.
Now I'm like, I didn't ask enough questions.
So Josh, here's the thing. I mean, I'm so happy you said that. So every call, that's how I teach people, should be like a first date. 100%. First dates are always going like this. What do you do for a living? What's your family life? Or what's your family life like? Where do you like to travel to? What do you like to do on the weekends? And sooner or later, you're going to find something that you know a little bit about or that you're interested in. Same thing for them. And then once you find that, now you got a great date. And the question is, okay, do we get to a second date? You'll choose a second date based off the connection and intrigue in that person. It's always interest on day one, on that first date. So I'm super interested in this person. I want to learn more. That's why relationships are. There's learning more about that person for life and then building a life together. So if it didn't work out for 45 minutes, there was just no connection there. Totally fine. It wasn't you would ask more questions. It was, hey, it just isn't going to work. And that's the same thing with customers too. There's plenty of customers that we know. We do not want you to be our customer. Totally fine. We've tried everything. You're not giving anything back. Like this is a give and take here on both sides. So if there's times on dates where you ask for 45 minutes questions, that's a dud. Get out of there. You've done everything. Yeah. Same thing with customers. Like every conversation should be at minimum 15 minutes long. That's our requirement at our shop. So every time someone calls, it's 15 minutes, no matter what. It's your job to get them to 15 minutes. If they're still a dud at the end of the 15 minutes, just hang up on them. They're not a customer of ours. You've given it all. There's no more wasted time there. So every single call, I always say it's your first date. Ask them those questions until you find something that they open up about that you can then ask them future questions on that you have experience in or that you find intrigue in, and now you just want to ask them and learn more about it.
So switching gears a little bit and going back to your services and the different services you offer. When did you start offering window tint and paint protection film?
So we started offering PPF, which was the greatest thing ever. We were outsourcing it. So we kept hearing about it. Customers kept asking. We got into coatings fairly early on in detailing, and then PPF we just started outsourcing because we didn't have the customers yet. Like we did, but not enough to hire somebody full time. So I wanted to build the market. Has always been my belief. So we found somebody that would come in for 2 days a week. It was Wednesdays and Thursdays. They would come in. We'd have 5 cars waiting for them. And as they PPF'd them all, his name's Jay from Modern Elix. Dude's incredible. I love Jay. So when he would come in and he would bring a team of 3 guys and they would bang out all these cars for us, incredible quality. And we knew that was the quality level that we had to get to because none of our customers complained. So it wasn't me saying, here's the quality level we need to get to. We followed the market. What does the market want? So we brought Jay in. Nobody ever complained. We saw how they would handle redos. We got to learn, okay, what's a bubble there? What's this? What's that? And he would open up about it. We had a real conversation with Jay from day one. Hey, we want to bring this in-house, but we want to outsource everything to you for the next year until I can build the market. And then once the market's built, can you help our guys? He goes, yeah, of course. So this is back in right before COVID. I mean, our guy's been doing it for 5 years now. So yeah, 2020. We jumped in on it, and Jay did it for the first about 6 to 8 months in his team. And then our guys would PPF a car on Tuesday as they started to learn. And then Jay would check it over on Wednesday and say, hey, here's the panels we need to remove, and here's why. Our guys would listen. He would show them, and then that car would go out. And the next Tuesday, same thing. And it got to a point where every car they did, there was nothing for him or for them to have to fix. It was at that point they said, all right, Jay, we're good to go. And during this transition for that 6 to 8 months, we built the market around it, which is the same thing that we did for window tint. We had a window tinter that would come in for the last almost 3 years. It was a side gig, but now we have the space. So we decided, and Felipe, our head PPFer, was like, hey, dude, I want to get into window tint. No problem. So I let our guys choose where they want to be in the shop. I don't tell them where they have to be. So no problem. Let's build the market. We built the market, and now he's going full time in June into tint. So that's kind of how we manage it all.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about what that means, like by building a market. Like, are you just asking more people that are coming in the door for other services? Are you just talking about these things?
Yeah, well, you see, and especially in this industry, because I know it so well now, that guys or guys and gals think they can just throw PPF on their website, or they can start ceramic coating or window tinting, and customers are just going to show up. That's not the reality. You got to build the market, and we build it off referrals. So we had to get customers in the door, then to go talk about our experience that we provide them and the quality of work, but specifically the experience to other people. So I knew it was going to take time. That's how we did it, boots on the ground. We had to go out there and actually talk to our customers, prior and current and future customers, and educate them on, hey, we now offer PPF. So you had to, to hire somebody and put them on for 40 hours a week at $20 an hour. That's $1,000 a week that you're going to have to now support for one car if you're lucky. So you had to build the market first. We wanted the influx of customers. We wanted to book out 2-3 weeks, especially at the beginning. We knew our team would become more efficient with time. So I really scoped it. Okay, they can do 3 full fronts a week right now. And then in 2 months, they'll be able to do 4. And then in 6 months, they'll be able to do 5. And then once they get to 5, that's their cap. So now we have to hire somebody else and then do that all over again, and hire somebody else, do it all over again. Then we have 6 full-time PPF guys that are just laying it down in 5 years. So the market's been growing over time. And once we see that our team is coming up on capacity, coming up on 30 hours a week of booked jobs, then we hire somebody else, because we want to get ahead of that market before it's too late. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So you said Jay was the one coming in to do a lot of the PPF work.
Yeah, Jay and Ben Harmony. Ben Harmony's out, and he's about an hour away. He used to come in as well. Yep.
So were these guys just fairly flexible with you, or did you tell them like, hey, come in every Wednesday, and we'll make sure we have work for you then?
Yep, we booked them Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yep. So they would book their retail and other wholesale. Like Jay's business is retail and wholesale. Wholesale meaning other detail shops. So, and he's got 3 guys, and they can bang out a full front in like 4 hours. So they could technically do like 6 cars. So as long as we had the work there for him, he would come. And we always had the work. I made sure of that. And if not, I would always just pay him out regardless.
And then you just made sure to book your clients for those Wednesdays and Thursdays, whenever they were wanting that done.
Yeah. Yep.
So what else? You said the experience, like that was a big thing. Obviously, you're getting most of your business from referrals, but the reason those people are referring is because you offer a great experience. So what else other than, good customer service, right? But like, what does that mean for the experience? Like, what else are you separating? How else are you separating yourself and building that great experience?
Yeah, Josh, that's a great question, because that's why we built our whole company off the experience. So I learned this early on, or I came to the realization that if a customer comes to my shop or your shop, the quality of work's going to be the same, especially in the consumer's eyes. And so many people in this industry, all they focus on is quality, 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 which I'm not saying that's not important. It's very important. But customers don't understand a 10% difference in quality. So they go to your shop and my shop, or the 10 shops around us. We were the first, now there's 13. So they come to me or the other 13 shops, they're basically going to get the same level of quality in their eyes. Us as professionals will be able to tell a difference, but then we're just talking crap on other shops, which you never want to do. So I said, okay, how can we stand out and charge 3 times more to these customers and give them an experience that they'll never be able to get anywhere else in the world? So we built out this whole experience. There's a book called The 7 Successes of Disney, which builds out exactly why Disney can do what they do and charge what they do and provide an experience over the last 50 years that people continue to go back to. So we wanted to become the Disneyland of detailing. And we built that out. So it all starts at, obviously giving great customer service, but we do experiences. So we've flown people in helicopters. We find out what's really important to the customer. So we'll actually go and dive into their Instagram, their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter. We'll just Google them. I know it sounds a little creepy, but we're doing what they're paying for us to do. And we'll find out what's really important to that person. And then we'll customize an experience specific to them. So the reason that we started flying people in helicopters, or just a couple, is that we were on one of our guys' Instagrams. He had just bought a brand new Cullinan. He sold his business, and I was on his Instagram. It was like the 12th post. And I saw him in front of a 172, Cessna 172, and it says, "I've always wanted to fly a helicopter, but I guess I'll start here." So he drove from Princeton, New Jersey, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away. So I got into flying. I fly planes, and the guy that's got the hangar next to me, he does all the tours around Philadelphia for helicopters. So he flies from Doylestown into Philly, does the tours, and then stores them back at the hangars next to mine. So I went over to him, was like, hey, what's the chances of, me renting out your helicopter during the day? Because he does all night. He either does mornings or nights in Philly. He goes, oh, yeah, dude, no problem. Like, our guys love to get hours. They'd be happy to. I'm like, all right, we got to fly to Princeton, pick this guy up, and then let's find a helipad that's close to our shop. So there's literally a helipad next to our shop, oddly enough, which is just a space of grass. So we went. I called the guy. I was like, hey, dude, here's the deal. Meet me. I pretend I was like, hey, why don't you just meet me over at the airport? That's a little bit closer to me, which is only 3 minutes from his house. But he took the bait. I said, why don't you meet me over there? I'll pick you up and I'll drive you back. He goes, all right, cool. So literally I took off. I said, all right, we're going to be there at 3:17, whatever it was. And a minute out, I call him. I text him. I say, hey, look up in the sky. So he looks up and he texts me back, you got to be kidding me. So it was so cool because he had his 2 young kids and his wife that dropped him off. And still to this day, I have dinner with him all the time. Still to this day, and that was probably 3 years ago. He tells me how his kids call him Superman because they were able to see their dad get into a helicopter and fly away. So I got to give him that experience for his kids who are now in their teens that still call him that because of that experience. And I got to check off something on his list that he said he would have never done on his own, but he always wanted to. So it's just cool things like that. Like, it wasn't about the detail. You think he went home to his friends and talked about the quality of PPF that we put on his car? No. He talked about us, a detailer, renting out a helicopter, going through his list, seeing that was something he always wanted to do, and then checking it off his list. So we give experience like that. We fly guys out to Breckenridge, California. We do events once a quarter where we'll bring in watch experts, gunsmiths. We go to every single car show possible. We have brewery days where we invite all of our clients. We rent out restaurants and bars and bring out 50 to our top 50 to 100 clients, depending on the space, and build out social programs around it where people just get to go and talk about their cars. We go on skiing events. We go shotgun shooting. Like, we basically do all these things outside. Like, it has nothing to do with the detailing for us. It has everything else to do is building community. So he's grab onto that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about that 7 Successes of Disney book. I think one of the things was like how close they put their trash cans to wherever you get your food at.
Yeah. And the cool thing is they have two trash. So System X, oddly enough, Ceramic Coats has the contract for that for Disney. So they ceramic coat all their trash cans. So I was with them this past week, and they, which is another side of the business that we had, which was compactors. But they have 2 trash cans waiting in the back for every one that's out there. So they have, within eyesight, they say by the time you can finish a hot dog, they want a trash can in sight. The reality is no matter where you are looking at all times is a trash can, and everything's underground. So it's all shoot. You'll never, like, if you go to Universal, you see guys walking around with those big bins and all the trash bags in it. You'll never see that at Disney because it's all underground. My favorite part about Disney is they wanted the experience to stay the same in 1985, if someone went then if they're coming now in 2025. So 40 years later, what they do every single night, which is wild, absolutely wild, but this is the level of detail that they take it to. Every single night on every railing in the park, rain, well, not really much snow, but some snow, but rain, sun, no matter the conditions, they strip and repaint every single hand railing every single night. So you want to make sure that the color that you saw in 1985 and exactly how you remember it then is exactly how it's going to be in 2025. So their level of detail continues over the last 40 years. People are like, why is it so expensive to be there? Well, that's exactly why. They're like 1,500 custodians. Every costume that they have is hand stitched, specific to how a 7-year-old sees it when they're watching the animation. They want to make it as realistic as possible. So they take all these little details, just like us, down to our plastic business cards. It's every last detail that Disney provides, gives them an experience that they'll never get anywhere else. So I said, okay, well, how do we do that on a small scale in a detailing shop? And that's what we do.
Do your guys, your employees, do they ever get irritated with how like OCD you are about the small details?
No, they love it because they see the benefit of it. It benefits them. There's a reason that they make the money they do. So, and they actually love it because we bring them in on a lot of these experiences. But I've really taught Mikey too on that. Like, he got, GT500 guy always wanted one of those plaques from Shelby. So Mikey went and got it, reached out to Shelby, got him a plaque with his VIN and the guy's name on it, and he hand delivered it 2.5 hours away to the guy's house. So it's little things like that. Like, we started with handwritten notes. That's how we started this whole thing, writing handwritten notes to people. And then it just expanded as business grew is when it expanded. Those little chocolates I was talking about, the little box of salted chocolate caramels that we've been giving out since day one. It's a $4 box of chocolates. People will come in and get a $500 detail. And when we ran out of them, they're like, where's our chocolates? So they were spending $500 for $4 box of chocolates. Now we give out custom rum bottles that to each customer that gets a coating or a PPF job. So we leave with a bottle of rum, which is pretty cool. We did White American rum that's a local distillery, and then we put our logos on the side because my whole belief was who drinks white or clear American rum? Not really anybody. So what are they going to do with this bottle? They're going to put it on their bar, and then what's going to happen? Somebody's going to go up and say, "What's that?" When their friends are over, they're going to say, "Oh, it's a bottle of rum." "Oh, who gave you that?" "Oh, my detailer." "What do you mean your detailer?" Starts conversation. Porsche makes perfectly balanced steak knives that you can literally rest on your finger and it won't move. So we started giving out Porsche steak knives to people that buy Porsches, Cutco knives, and getting their names engraved on it. We don't put our logo on anything. We always put the person's name or their wife's name. We've bought Louis Vuitton bags with their wife's name on it. Somebody that couldn't afford one, we get their wife's name on it. So we'll send them one. So we take it to a certain level that has nothing to do with us or our brand. It has everything to do with the experience that they have. And our logo isn't on any of it. Their name is. And we want to make sure it lasts forever. So it's either an experience you can give, like flying in a helicopter, or giving them a Porsche quality, perfectly balanced steak knife that they're going to pull out for every meal, and they're going to want to talk about it. And then people are going to say, "Where'd you get it?" "Oh, my detailer gave it to me."
Yeah.
So it's all about the story that they tell.
Well, we were talking before we started the podcast about how when you hit your first $1 million, when your business hit your first million, you went and bought that watch.
Yep.
So
we also lost 10 grand, which didn't help the situation.
So you weren't profitable. You made $1 million, but you weren't profitable.
Correct.
So what year was that?
We were 3 years into our business. So it was 2020.
What kind of watch was it?
It was a Breitling Endurance Pro. Still have it.
How much was that?
It's $3,200. So I got on a deal. It was like retail was $4,500, but a lady at the Breitling store in Delaware, which I was living in Philadelphia at the time, so it was about an hour and a half drive. Mm-hmm. So I drove down there to save on sales tax because I didn't have the extra. I was living in Philly, so it's 8% sales tax in Philly. So I didn't have the extra like $400 for it. But my wife at the time, or not at the time, she was a fiance, but she was my wife at this time. So my wife said, "Yeah, go get it." She understood. That was a big deal for me. It was black. It was an orange band with a black carbon fiber case, super light, and Breitling too. It was rad. So I paid $3,200 for that. Yep.
But you said you regretted that?
No, I didn't regret that because I deserved that. I regretted that. So what I realized at an early stage, like we were only 1,000 days into the business, right at year 3. So we're basically 1,000 days in. I hit the $1 million. I thought that I was the most successful person ever until the books hit that we'd lost 10 grand. So I was following revenue. And the reality is I bankrupted the company. I saw every dollar that was going through the company as my own, which is totally wrong. And the mindset is what most individuals in this industry have, is that the business's money is theirs. So I completely shifted that. So that was a big, because I made $1 million, I bought the watch I wanted. And then when the books came through at year's end, I lost 10 grand. I was like, what the heck? How did that happen? So it was all because of me. It wasn't because of the business. The business was doing great, but I had taken everything out. And that's when I had a huge shift in the business that has now branched out across the board to where it is today.
What major changes do you think that made in you? Yeah.
So I put myself on salary. So we swapped ourselves over from being LLC over to an S corp, so I could take a W-2. So I ended up putting myself on salary. I said, what am I worth? So I put that income level onto the business. And then I started taking out a W-2, paying employment tax and everything else just as if I was another person. And then whatever was left over was the business's, not mine. So I went into that mental shift of I work for this business just like everybody else. I'm an employee of this business and a team member just like everybody else. I get a W-2 just like everybody else. If I deserve a bonus just like everybody else, I'm going to take one. If I deserve a decrease in pay because I didn't do my job, then I'm going to take that. So I held myself to the same standards that I hold my whole team to. And that's rang true till today. So once I was on a W-2, then I was able to structure my life. Okay, what's being transferred into my account every 2 weeks? And that's my paycheck. That's what I have to live off now. First, the other side of it was I'm going to live off everything that the business has that's coming through. So once I did that, Josh, is when the business started thriving because now I had all this money I was able to put back into the business. So we were able to expand 3 times, now 4 times. And now we're buying our shop right now. which is pretty cool. Our building, I was able to expand into all the other businesses that I'm doing. I was able to get the business to run and operate on its own without me needing to be there. Within 12 months, we went from losing 10 grand to making a ton of money the year after and having expansive growth. So I was putting more money back into the customers and into the experience. So it was a pretty life-changing gut punch that happened within the business that showed immediate success, like almost overnight.
Do you have like a set percentage of revenue that you spend on just customers' experience?
Yeah. So everyone says spend 10% on marketing. We do the same for customers.
That is your marketing.
Yeah. We spend probably 250 to 300 grand a year on customers.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. I know it sounds nuts, but have you ever stayed at a Ritz-Carlton?
I haven't.
Bro, okay. Go to a Ritz-Carlton. They have facial recognition before you walk in the door. They know exactly who you are. They do just the same level of background that we do. I was at Trump National. We were down there for MT, or it wasn't MT. We were down there for Detailing Summit. And I just wanted to get a massage, had an extra half day. So I went over and I was like, all right, I've been to Trump properties, like Trump in Chicago. This is before he was president. Trump in Chicago. It's my favorite hotel in the nation. So Trump Tower's there. So I had a great experience there. I literally walked in to get my massage, and they had an old fashioned waiting for me. And they said, "Mr. Menard, welcome back." And by the way, I was a little bit lenient. I go in there because it was like 3 times more than everywhere else. But I'm like, whatever. I got a half day. I'm gonna splurge a little bit. So I walked in. They had an old fashioned waiting for me. Mr. Menard, it's been a while. You know, how have you been? We saw that you were at our Trump Towers property about 8 months ago. We noticed that your favorite drink is an old fashioned, no sugar. So we had one waiting for you. Just want to let you know that your massage, whenever you're ready, is available. And when you're done there, we have a tab open for you waiting at the bar. Thank you so much for coming back. We also have somebody with a golf cart outside. If you want to tour the property at any time, you just let us know. We're going to keep your bag right here and have everything waiting for you. Do you need anything cleaned? Thank you so much, Mr. Menard. I came for a massage. This dude spent way more on me than I paid in my massage. And the level of tips that I gave to their team was way more than I would have prior to that. But they gave me an experience. You think I'll stay anywhere else?
Yeah.
Ritz-Carlton, same level. It's not about the beds. The beds is great. It's quality. The sheets are awesome. It's about having somebody come and literally pull down your sheets at night so you can get into them. That's the level. That's what I'm talking about. Having all my food and everything waiting for me. Like they make it customized to each person that's there.
Yeah.
So we do the same thing. We just detail cars.
Yeah, it wasn't about the massage. Like they didn't think, well, how do we make this massage, so special and like different than every other massage? It's like, that's not really what mattered, right?
Not at all. And I still paid for it. It wasn't like they gave it to me for free. Right? I still paid for it. And it was still a great massage. It's phenomenal. But it's everything. I stayed there for almost 6 hours. I was only supposed to be there for an hour and a half. Stayed there for 6 hours. Sick.
That's how I want it to be when I go out to eat at like a nice restaurant. Like when I'm spending $100 a person, like I want it to be somewhere I hang out with or hang out at for like 3 hours.
Yeah, and you can. So what I do when I first go into places, restaurants, is I pre-tip $100. Give them $100 off the bat, and then still tip them at the end. Think they'll forget your name?
Yeah. How do you say that? Do you say, I just want to let you know I'm going to tip you $100 up front here?
No, I say, hey, I just want to give you this. Just want to let you know I really want to have a great night. Is it cool if I stay for 3-4 hours? I just want to let you know I'm taking care of you, though, because I know you'd probably have another table here. So I'm just going to take care of you now for that other table. I'll still tip you at the end. Talking about an experience. These dude and dudettes will go crazy for you. Whatever you want. No problem. You can stay as long as you want. Be here till 2 in the morning. Stay as long as you want. That's funny. Yeah. And they get to know you and then you go back and you give them the same. I tip $100 basically everywhere I go. So, because I want one, it's, I was in the hospitality world. I know how much of a grind it is and how up and down it is. But when my wife and I usually do Tuesday night date nights, and we go to the spots because people are usually pretty slow on Tuesday. So we want to make sure it's worth their time. So we always give $100. My father-in-law hates it. He's always like, you tip too much. I'm like, well, dude, I was in that world, man. I'm fortunate enough now that I have the ability to tip somebody $100. I'm going to do it. So you'll get a great experience off that. But it's not the idea. It's me giving back versus me trying to get something in return. But the reality is you get something in return at the end of it.
Yeah, I think that's like that book, that gift book that you were talking about.
Giftology.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a big part of that. And, there's also like that that mindset, like the scarce mindset, where if you like hold on to everything you've got and it's like, I've only got this little pie, I can't let it go to waste. It's like that mindset's actually really toxic. Whereas if you are a little bit more giving and you're like, it's okay, I'm going to give this away and it'll come back to me, not
Yep.
because I'm not giving them this $100 tip because I think I'm going to get something huge in return necessarily, but naturally it works out that way.
Yeah, and the seven love languages, it's another book. Like I found out I'm a giver, just who I am. So there's two things that are in my love language is giving and touch. And those are basically my two things, which you kind of get out of how I manage my life. And it's me just giving. It's just how I am. I'd give the shirt off my back if I had nothing. So, because I really, I had a great family, like a phenomenal family. But my dad passed away when I was 11 years old. So, and he was the all-star of our family. I had to watch my mom raise 5 kids. So the reality is not that we didn't have anything. We had a super loving family. We had everything. But when it came financially, I've had to earn all this on my own too. So the fact that it wasn't given to me relative, like I was given love, I was given support, I was given a home to go home to and sleep in every night until I had my own. I was given everything from that side of it that is super needed. Now it's just my way of just, I'm not going to, if I died tomorrow, like my whole thing is my dad died when he was 46. I'm 33. I got 13 years left. That's in my eyes. So I'm going to give it all away now because by the time I'm 46, if, God forbid something happens, but if it does, if I am on that same path line, I want to make sure that I live my life now versus having to wait until I'm in my 60s. Screw that.
Mm-hmm. I had a buddy that recently passed away. He was pretty young, 33.
What did he pass from?
Actually, we don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, still hasn't figured that out yet.
recently?
But yeah, I mean, it was about a month ago.
Sorry,
So,
bro.
but the one thing that everyone remembers him for is his giving.
Yeah.
Like he was always just so generous
Mm-hmm.
with bringing you a Starbucks or cooking you dinner if you came over to his house, like even though you weren't going over there for that,
Yep. And he
always
wanted
like,
nothing in return.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the coolest part about him. Yeah.
But it's just interesting that that's like what people remembered him for.
Yeah, it is. Especially, Josh, I said this a while back and it's kind of been coined now, but when you walk around a graveyard, there's no tombstone that has somebody's company logo on it. So why do you want to live a life based around a company, even if you made it your own? So how can you impact this world out for what fruitfulness comes from you being an entrepreneur and owning a company? How can you impact this world while outside your logo? Because your name is who you are. It's not your company.
Hmm.
So that is the realization of how I've always managed life and how I try to impact, the ones that are closest to me and how I get impacted too. It's what is somebody doing that's super important to them and what kind of impact has that had on me? And then how can I then reverse that and give it back to the world? So everything I do right now is not based around my companies. It's total opposite. It's based around being a great dad, great husband, traveling with my wife, doing the things I love to do, giving back, building community, having great conversations at all time, have no hold back, basically having a retired life now versus and experiencing life now versus experiencing in 30 years. But no tombstone has a logo on it.
So true. So do you take it upon yourself, or did you to create, like, was your role at the company really to create that experience and dive into every individual client, or do you have someone whose job role that is?
It was my role at first. So I do something called the 3 columns. Well, it's now 4 columns. Where when I first got into the business, we all got in thinking that we just got to detail cars and we get paid for it. But the reality is there's way more that comes to being a business owner than that, which most people realize fairly quickly. So you got to payroll, you got to take the trash out, you got to order products, you got to talk to the state, you got to pay sales tax once a month, like all these things that are part of it. So I wrote down a list of everything that I had to do for the business. And I wrote out 3 columns. First column was I love this column. It's the stuff that I actually started for and what actually gave me energy. The middle column was I don't mind doing this right now, but I don't want to do it forever. Didn't really give me energy, didn't really take it away. And third column's a fuck this column. Fuck that. I hate this. Right. And that's where 80% of your time and energy actually goes into. And you don't realize it until you delegate it out. And then the fourth column was, hey, this is like my discovery column. I kind of want to do this, but I kind of want to see what this is like. I don't know if I love it, hate it, don't mind doing it, but I want to try it at some point once I free up some time. So I went through, and what I did is once you build out column number 3, the F this column is it actually builds a job descriptor or multiple job descriptions. And all you got to do is hire somebody on the spot to do it, because your F this column is somebody else's I love this column. So you just got to find somebody that loves to do it. And then what that did is it put me into doing the things that all I wanted to do, which was customer relations, deal with customers, give them a great experience, and then go and actually execute on a vision. And that's all I've done today. So I became a master delegator. That's why we have so many team members. I became a master delegator because what I want to do is coach other businesses, help them out. Because I didn't think there was anything special about me, but others thought there was. So I'd love to teach people. Love to get, with my new operation with You're Able, I would never be able to take the job when Michael Abens called me and said, hey man, we want to bring you on. Like I would never be able to take that if I was integrated within the business still. So there's all these things that were super important to me that my team knew about. So I delegated everything out until I was completely useless. And the question I asked myself the whole way up was, would I buy my business today? If I was an investor, would I buy it if I wasn't there? And the answer was no for a long time until it turned into yes. And I realized this is complete hands off. I could sell this business today because I'm so not needed. And I realized I wasn't needed because I walked into my team and said, why are you here? I was like, all right, I over delegated, but I'm no longer needed. But it allowed me to then go because I like to build stuff. I built it up, runs pretty damn good. I bring vision into play. So if I have something that come to my mind, we go and I put people in to execute on that. It's their job to execute. So E-Myth is a great book that kind of lays this out for you. So I'm the entrepreneur, the big vision guy. And then I bring it down, and Jim Hutton, who's my right-hand man there with Mikey, I mean, he told me last week, dude, I don't know how you do it, man. Like, I don't know where your brain comes from, but it's done really well for us. So I'll bring these in, and then it's Jim's job to actually put it into play and make sure it comes to fruition. And then it's Tech's jobs to actually get the jobs done. So that's what I've done across the board with all the companies that I have, as I delegate it out to somebody else. And
Rocket Fuel is another great book.
Yep, Rocket Fuel is a great book. So that's kind of how I manage it all.
So would you talk about that with you and Jim? That's who you said was your delegator?
Yeah.
Or your, technically.
His manager. Yeah. He manages the back of the shop. Yeah. Mikey manages the front. Yeah. So Mikey was with me since he was 16. So he started detailing my mom's garage. We actually almost lost him for a second there. So no one's ever left our company, which is pretty cool. People have been fired, but nobody's ever left. So we take a really, really, really great care of everybody because it's a family of mine. Like they're all friends of mine. So so Mikey started with me detailing my mom's garage when he was 16. Now he sells we call him Millionaire Mikey because the dude sells millions of dollars a year in coatings, PPF, tint, and does a way better job than I'll ever be able to do. So Mikey manages the front, and Jim Hutton, who's an OG, he's got 25 years in this industry. He was one of the original trainers at CP and then went over to G-Tech, which is when I met him because I flew down to get certified for G-Technic. So I flew down there. He, oddly enough, had my territory up here. He lived about 35 minutes away. So when I was there, I showed up in a polo and jeans, and he's like, who the hell are you? Everyone else was in shorts and a shirt ready to get after it, and polish out a car. And I was like, dude, I don't know how to coat cars. I don't know how to polish a car. I've never laid film. I don't know how to do tint, but I know how to run a business. And I need you to come and train my team. So give me the cert. And then when you come back home, I'll pay you to come in. So he came into our facility. It was our first shop, and he took over. And it got to the point where there were some things that were going out, or on with his job to where I offered him the job to come on full time, and I made him a promise that I'd get him to a certain income level in a year, and I kept on that promise. And now Jim manages. Jim's my right hand man with Mikey. So when something comes down the pipeline, he is a phenomenal person at teaching people, and he's a hard ass. It's not easy to he manages in a certain way, but I appreciate the way he does because he's built some absolute monsters out of it.
So how does that relationship work between you guys? Like you bring ideas to the table and they help to execute it. Do you guys have meetings?
Yeah, we meet all the time. Yep. So once a week, but Jim and I are always jumping on. So we'll come on and say, okay, so let's say we want to get into dry ice blasting, right? Or we want to open up a secondary location. So I'll go and get everything aligned. So I'll say, okay, I have the equipment purchased. Here's where we're going to do it. Here's the new space that we have. Here's the personnel that we need to hire. And it's your job to learn and teach it. So I get everything set up, and then it's their job to take it from there on. And it's Mikey's job to sell it. So Jim's the hands-on person, Mikey's the sales arm, and then I'm the person that's just there to support whatever goes wrong. They call me the solutionist now. They give me a problem, what's a solution? So I help them go through the steps instead of just providing them the solution. I give them the proper steps on how I got there. And that's about it. So if we wanted a secondary location, all right, here's where we're going to do it. I found the market. I did all the background on it. We have the space. Here's all the equipment. It's ready to go. Here's a credit card. Go after it. Make it happen. And then they take it from there. Same thing with Tint. Same deal. Who's going to do it? How are we going to get the customers in? What do you guys need? How do you want me to support it? And then they went after it. So him and Mikey have daily meetings.
Okay.
So they talk every single day. And then they bring me in when they need to.
How many guys did you need to hire before you hired Jim to manage the back of the shop?
Jim was early on. So Jim, we had Mikey, Phil, Colin. So we only had 3 guys at the time. And then he brought Vince on, or Felipe, and then Vince. So we had like 4 guys, 3 or 4 guys.
So was
But
his role always manager, or?
Yeah, well, manager, and he does the jobs. Like, he's a hands-on guy, so he's a worker, as he called himself. He's a worker, so he loves to work. He still polishes and corrects cars, and he's going to be pulled out of the shop, enforcing that this year. So because I need him to be quality control, and actually we have over 20 people now. He's going to manage at multiple locations. So I'm like, dude, I need you to get out of there to really take over the team as a whole. So that's what he's going to be doing coming up. But we only had like 4 guys. It was a ton of risk involved with that, Josh, because I was like, okay, I did not have the money for Jim. This dude's been in the industry for 25 years. He was an inspiration to me. It's like, I don't have this money that you need, but I took a risk. So I didn't get paid for the first 3 years out of the business. Not a single dime. I went through all my savings. I was down to 0. I maxed out credit cards because I was forcing myself to hire the people that I knew I needed. Not that I could afford, until I was able to afford them. And all I did was just raise the prices. The next thing you know, there it is.
Do you really charge 3 times more than your competitors?
That's what I don't look at competitors. So I don't know, but that's what people tell us. They're like, you're 3 times more than everybody else. We're like, cool. You want an experience you're never going to get anywhere else? We don't charge $3,000 because the quality work, you can get the same thing elsewhere.
Yeah.
If we're going to give you an experience you can't get anywhere else, you want to feel it. You want to be part of it. The best part is we choose. You don't choose. You don't choose if you're going to be a customer of ours. We choose if you're going to be a customer of ours. So we're exclusive to who we decide that we're going to bring in. And once you tell somebody that, hey, we're exclusive, even though we're not, but I'm like, we're exclusive, then they're going to jump on board.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
How much has social media played into the success of your business?
Pretty big initially with Instagram. It played in very big to the success. So because we were on there so often. So that was pretty big, and still does today. Like, if you go on our social, we're really just big on Facebook and Instagram, and we post everything on Google My Business. But social was a big play into it initially. But what we differed in is that we really focused in each post to the customer, not to the industry. So we wanted to make it really important to the customer and tagging them, and then we send now these super high quality emails to them 2 weeks later. We have a professional photographer, enough my brother, who manages all of our marketing, Reed, and he's a king in what he does. So he then sends, after each job 2 weeks later, a full Dropbox with our 7 favorite photos from them, with a review request and how they can tag us in other pages. And customers do it all the time. So we utilize social media as a driver for new business pretty aggressively.
But by giving them photos of their car. So it's like, I'm giving you something before I ask anything in return.
Yeah, we do metal prints. So if they're obsessed with their cars, which most people are, big enthusiasts. Like, that's what we went after. We weren't going after the Lamborghinis and Ferraris. We go after the enthusiast. The people are actually going to be driving their cars. That's why we've proven so much success. We do BMWs, C8s, Range Rovers. Like, everything's around, a lot of Porsches, obviously, but everything's like 100 to 150 grand. That's our market. It's not the Lamborghinis and Ferraris. I don't care about those. And the reality is 90% of them don't even own them. They're 1-year leases. So why would I want to go after that kind of market? So we go after the enthusiast, and that's proven. And then we give out, if they're a super enthusiast, super into it, well, if we can't find something custom for them, then we'll actually put one of our photos as a metal print, and then we'll send them a metal print of their car for them.
Can you talk about like what some of those, you've already talked about several, but do you have any other examples of like something that's personal for a client other than like a photo of their car?
Yeah, the Cutco knives is awesome. We love that because that's something that's super easy. So we'll get a paring knife from Cutco. So Cutco, they probably reached out to you when you graduated college. They reach out to most. So it's those, but they have lifetime warranties that's passed on generationally. So we'll get Cutco knives, and they have the ability, I think it's $15 for you to engrave somebody's name onto the knife, which is what we do. So we'll go and engrave a person's name on the knife, and then every single time they take out that paring knife or the chef's knife or the steak knives or the cheese knife or the dessert knife, depending on what they're into. If they're a sugar freak, we'll give them, dessert knives. Every time they pull it out, subconsciously, they're going to be thinking about you. That's our goal. We want to see how many times we can ping their brain without having to call them, which we do. We call extensively, but without actually having to outreach. How many times can we ping them without them knowing? For instance, my buddy from Porsche, Saad, he gave me this little elephant that I keep in my desk.
That's cool.
Right? He bought this thing. He was in Dubai, and I asked him, I was like, hey, can you bring me something back? And he picked this up for me. It's a clay elephant. Every single time I walk into this room, I think of Saad. Right? I was just at Gas Monkey Garage, and I was hanging out with Richard Rawlings the last couple of days. So Richard, gave me a beer can. Every time I look at that beer can, I'm going to be thinking of Richard. It's kind of the same deal across the board. So how can I build that out and give people these little trinkets that are cool and that they're going to put somewhere and they're going to look at? Because if you give them a bottle of wine or a box of chocolates like that we give, like that's only going to last until it's gone. So we also have customized beers that we did. They're called Detail Juice. So we teamed up with our local brewery. So we give out free beer. We built a bar in our front office. So our waiting room's a bar. Because in a bar, it's always fun energy. And people always love to talk. So we have a full open bar. There's beers, liquor, water, sodas, you name it. That's in there. Super inviting. Spend a ton of money on that bar for customers, but customers love it because it's not like you're walking into a DMV or into a doctor's office. So these are just little things that you can give out. We just have fun with it. I'm trying to think of anything else. Gunsmithing. So we'll actually get, we hire a gunsmith to come in and do custom engraving and people's guns for them. It has nothing to do with our logo. We pay for it. But when they go and pick up that 1911, they're going to know, oh my God, Menard. Remember that experience at Menard's that we had? These chairs I'm sitting on right now. So if they're a McLaren or Red Bull fan, we'll buy one of these chairs. There's all different stuff, dude. I can go on. It will just keep pinging my brain.
Yeah, I always tell I always tell my guys, like, I think we all have a tendency to think, how do we bring in more people that we don't know? Like that's where our mindset goes with marketing. But the best thing that we can do, and the most important roles in the entire company, are the people that have direct contact with the people we're serving today.
100%. You're spot on. How I kind of coined that, Josh, is don't focus in on the people that don't know about you. Definitely don't spend money on ads on the people that don't know about you. Only focus in and spend the money on the people that already trusted you. When you do that, that shows extensive growth immediately off the bat. You'll go to the absolute moon.
Yeah.
Because then you capture those people forever. So most of it is transactional. Here's $1,000. Here's my ceramic coat. Here's $500. Here's your window tint. And there's nothing after that. We make sure that that's just the beginning. And then we capture them forever.
Do you have a minimum that a client must spend to create? I mean, obviously they get a box of chocolates with a detail, but like the more personalized things, do you kind of have is that more for coding or PPF clients?
Yes. But if we have a really cool conversation with somebody, or if they're a big supporter of ours, and just because they can't afford it doesn't mean they don't have a friend that can. So if they're like a big driver to us in referrals, we'll make sure we take care of them forever. They're part of our world. So it's not just, we don't just do it on spend. I mean, spend's important for sure. And if you're spending 10% of somebody over the next 3 years, we spend 10% on somebody that spent 10 grand. That's a lot of money you got to get back. Yeah. And that's just it's not like we look at every customer. That would be almost impossible to do this for every single customer. It's just the ones that are impactful to us. Right. So if somebody spent $100 with us and they've always wanted to go up in an airplane, we'll take them up 100%. So it's not about the money that's spent under any means. It's about who they are as a person. Because they're friends of ours. Yeah. Just because your buddy can't afford a super nice whiskey, but he can afford Jack Daniels, doesn't mean you're not going to hang out with him. Yeah. Same deal.
Can I ask how much you guys did in sales in 2024?
Yeah, we're just crossing over 3 million.
What's your goal for 2025?
We are at a standard 15 to 20% growth pattern, so we should be in that 3.5 to 3.8 number.
Okay.
But we don't need to grow it anymore, Josh. So I came to that realization. Across all my companies, we did over 10 million last year, but just in the detailing space was just right around that 3. And the reality is that we don't need any more. We don't want any more. It's fun. The income level that we all have is to our lifestyles that we want to live. Nothing more, nothing less. So why do we need to create more just to look at a number? So everything's manageable right now. We have a phenomenal team, a great family. We don't need to grow anymore. I always wanted to take over the world, just like all of us. Oh, I want 30 different spots. There's no point. We make a great living right now doing the things that we're able to do. We love what we do. Obviously, there's some up and down days like anything. It's not perfect, but we love what we do. So why do we need to continue to grow it? Let it happen organically. So organic growth is between that 15 to 20% year over year.
When did that mindset hit you?
When we got to the point we're at now, where I was like, okay, to grow this thing, we'd have to restart and open up something else somewhere else within an hour. And the reality is the brand doesn't transfer over. So the brand is known in this area. It's not known an hour away to the level of what it would need it to be. So once I came to that realization was okay, I replaced myself and delegated everything out. What's the out? Is this going to benefit everybody at the shop or just myself? And it was just myself. It's not going to benefit them at all. So I'd have to jump back in and give the same level of energy I just did for the last 3 years to get the business to the point where it needs to be. And I just wasn't willing to do that. So I said, okay, well, how can I increase my income to get to the lifestyle that I want to live? And same thing with everybody else. They get paid first. So how can I help all them out to get the houses that they want, the cars they want, have more kids, travel more? We force PTO on everybody. They have to take it. So how can we get to these levels to support everybody, 401ks, health benefits, and then what do we need to charge? We charge a way that we charge 3 times more than everybody else, apparently, is because we are at an actual company. We make 30% margins. So it's not like I'm making 70% margins on somebody like I used to when I was out of my mom's garage. We have a ton of expenses. So when people ask us why you're 3 times more, it's really easy. Well, you see Felipe, Vince, Andrew, Andy, Mikey, Jim, Andrew, Lenny, Cole, Nick. See all these people out there? Yeah, we give them 401ks, health benefits. They're able to have the houses they want, drive the cars they want, travel when they want, and have more kids. So the reason we're 3 times more is because it goes back to my team. It doesn't go into my pocket, it goes into my team's pocket. What do people say? And we're going to give you an experience you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that overarching, message there. But I don't need any more, dude. I'm more than happy. And I get to do the things I want to do outside of the business. Like, that business runs and operates on its own. I'm super proud of that. So I don't need to step back in. It's not going to provide any more value to anybody else. And honestly, it's just going to give me a couple extra $100,000. And do I really need that? No.
Yeah, I think that there's that stat, and I'm sure it's different for everyone, but it's like over 70 or 80 grand per year, and it's all relative to where you live, right? But that's the degree to which one's happiness increases does trickle off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit of it's all relative, right? But I think on average that's probably true.
I think it's completely true. Because I'm not do I have a lot of stuff? Yes. Does it make me happy? No. So when the business was delegated out, and I called myself semi-retired because I was only had to spend a couple things, I came to realize the things I actually enjoy. Waking up next to my wife, having breakfast, driving to get a coffee every morning, not making it out the house, but driving, having a coffee, which means we're having an hour conversation every morning. I'd go golf. I'd fly my plane. I'd go to jiu-jitsu and make sure I'm home to have dinner or to pick my kid up or whatever it is, go and play. We didn't have a kid. I didn't have a kid at the time, but now I do. So I had to wake up, have fun with my kid, take him to my mom's house, go to the park, do those other 3 things that are important to me, and then also spend time with my wife and play a little Xbox here and there, Get a little Call of Duty action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the new PGA. So, but anything, just have fun and then go out. We travel a ton. I mean, I have a 9-month-old, so it's a little different now. But my wife and I were gone 2 to 3 weeks a month. So we were always traveling. Like, my status on all the airlines was through the roof. It was awesome. But it's because we were doing the things that we want. Our income level supported that. And my wife still works. She loves it. So I realized quickly that the cars and the watches and the guns and all this other stuff is just it's just there, but it's not a drive. I would sell all of it today. So I 100% agree. After that marker, you just get to do things at a different level. But we were still happy staying at a Marriott that we are staying at the Ritz. Like, we're still happy. There's no difference to us. I look at her all the time, like, hey, this thing fails. What are we doing? She goes, let's get back in the camper. We spent 2 months on the road in the camper. She goes, get back in the camper. I'm like, sick. That'd be so awesome. That was the best time of our lives.
You guys used to live in a camper?
Yeah, we took 2 months after the business hit an actual profitability threshold that we want. We ended up taking 2 months and hit the road, and we went San Diego to Seattle to all the national parks. So we took about 2 months off and did that. That was my true test on, is the business going to own and operate? Because I'm going to be in the middle of these national parks with no cell service for sometimes 9 days. And that was the test to the shop. And I set it up over 18 months to get to that point. And then we hit it. So I got home and they called me twice in that trip, and both times were just to check in and say what's up. But that was the truth. That was when I realized, okay, this business is good. Like, I don't need to be here anymore.
I'm curious to know for a business like mine, for guys like me that are doing detailing and coatings, haven't moved on to, we just got into window tinting, but haven't moved on significantly into window tinting or PPF. Other than everything we've talked about today, like creating experiences, delegating and whatnot, what other advice do you have for someone like me?
Are you shop based or you got mobile?
Shop.
So cool. Do you have a team for PPF if you wanted to do it?
No.
Okay. So that's first and foremost. Is somebody on your team? Does somebody on your team want to do it? Is intrigued in it? And if the answer is yes, then you give them everything. So we were just up at Jamie Warner. He's got Equip Academy outside of Boston. I've been to a ton of different events, especially now that I work with Your Able. And that was by far the number one training for film. That was awesome. If I could lay a piece of film, anybody could. So when you're looking to get into these things, you got to talk to every single customer possible and speak it into existence. So you got to say, hey, what we're best known for is, if they're calling in for detailing, hey, do you know what we're best known for? Do you know our story? Your story is really important, how you got started. Although you might not think it's important, you should be sharing your story with everybody. And then you should be telling them, hey, do you know what we're best known for? No, what is it? Oh, we're best known for PPF, tint, and ceramic coating. Or 2 of those. I'd go PPF and coatings, right? If you want to get into tint, they're calling for ceramic coating. Hey, do you know what else we're best known for? No, what? Well, 9 out of 10 of our customers actually get a combination of ceramic coating, PPF, and window tint. We offer all 3. So are you familiar with it? No, I'm not. If they call in for something too, you're going to say, hey, are you familiar with all the different offerings that we have, our business as a whole? You're obviously calling in for detailing. It's great. But do you know what else we offer? Because again, just because they can't afford it doesn't mean somebody else can't, or they just might not be educated in it and the benefits of it. PPF is by far the easiest sell. It's 60% of our business now. Without PPF, we'd still be $1 million business. So the reality is that PPF, and it is a market right now, like we're seeing this through Your Able because we pull out industry insights. You can't stop it. PPF is going buck wild, Doge level, like to the moon. And ceramic coatings are basically plateaued. Detailing's plateaued. Window tints got a little bit of an increase. But PPF, you cannot stop. And sooner or later, what we're probably going to see in the next year, ceramic coatings are going to take a dip, which is what a lot of people see already. Our ceramic coatings have done the same amount of coatings the last 3 years. There's no difference in it. PPF, though, you can't stop it. So you got to get on the train and do it now, and you have to educate your customers and let them know that you're doing it. Your current and past clients. How many clients do you have on your list?
I just pulled it. I think 1,700.
Okay, so you have 1,700 people that you can go after right now. You close 1% of those. 1%, it's 17 people, right? Is that 1%, 17 people?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have 17 customers right now. That's 3 a week. You're booked out a month and a half. Right now. That's $2,000 a pop. So that's 34 grand sitting there waiting. And then you get 3 people off those with referrals. Now you're booked out for another 3 months. So you get 1% turn, which is guaranteed. I can tell you that right now. You'll probably be in a 3 to 7% close rate on just those people alone, just by educating them all. So you hit them on the phone. We call everybody. After we call them, we shoot them a text. After we text them, we shoot them emails. So call every single person. Hey, it's Josh. Just wanted to fill you in. Just want to let you know we just brought on paint protection film and window tint. It's our new offering. Not sure if this card's ready for it, but your next card, just want to let you know. I'll be sending you over some videos that goes over some of the process. Do you have any questions, though? Are you familiar with it at all? How's the car? How's the car been from the coating you got and the detail? Right, and you're going to see there's a lot more upsell on that. Like we hone in on our customer list. We don't care. Again, we don't care about who doesn't know about us. You have 1,700 people, bro. That's wild.
Yeah, that'll take up enough time.
Oh my God. So Grant Cardone, one of my buddies works for him. You know how many people they have to call every single day before they can leave? Every day.
200?
300.
Wow.
They have to call 300 people every single day, and their hope is to close one of them.
One.
One.
Yeah.
Okay? That's how you make over 100 grand with them a year. So they have to call over 300 people a day. You have 1,700 people. You can bang that out in a couple weeks. But the reality,
what's great is they all know you.
yeah,
So
you're calling them as your
it's a
friend.
fairly easy conversation to have.
100%. And the reality is, you're not calling them to sell them. You're calling them to check in. So, hey, how was your son's softball game? Hey, how was that year-end bit for your business go? How's the new car? Have you thought about getting another one? Like, you're not calling in to say, hey man, just wanted to let you know that we have a new offering. No, it's a check-in to see how everything's been. So we don't, because they're friends. Because if you were to call somebody to sell them on the first call, you think they're going to pick up on the second?
No.
Never. So you got to call these people, and you just got to say, hey, it's Josh, just giving you a shout. How's everything been? You still how did your daughter graduate from Missouri State? Have you been back down to Branson to go see Luke Menard crush the octave? Right? Been fishing? Have you gone hunting? And yeah, I just went out and killed a pheasant last week. Like, how was your success? Right? I got my 2 tags for the season. Have you had any success? Right? You already have relationships with these people. So you just got to hone in on those, and then just let them know. Hey, just want to let you know too. We're actually, they're going to ask you how's business. Oh, dude, it's awesome. We actually just brought on paint protection film and window tint full time. We're just getting into it. We're going to start with 2 days a week and build our way up to 5 days a week. That's how you do it. You have 1,700 people that already trusted you. It's incredible. Congrats to you on that.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it makes hiring the salesperson or having someone already on the team that is focused specifically like on just doing that. It's like they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a full-time job pretty much.
Our goal is to call 100%. Our goal is to call every single person once a month. So every 30 days, they get a call.
So I'm sure you guys have like a chart where you like keep track of details about clients.
We put it in the notes. So in your able, we put it in the notes section where we build out profiles for each customer as a just in case.
Yeah.
But we've had the same team, and we have no intention of leaving. Or we might bring one person on to support Mikey up front, but he's already a customer of ours that retired. He asked us. He's like, I just need something to do. Can I come work for you guys a couple days a week? We're like, sure. So, and he's a huge car guy, but he sold his business for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he wants to come work with us, which is cool. So we're gonna get a ton of, we're gonna pay him whatever he wants. But she's like, dude, I don't care if I make $10 an hour. Just give me something to do. So we're gonna help Mikey out there, but our whole goal is to have that outreach to customers. And that's cool part of the fact that this dude sold his business for life-changing money, and we were his first call because he realized that retirement is not what people make it seem. That was a pretty cool moment for us. Like, somebody like that wants to come be part of us. Sick.
Yeah. So call the clients and let them know, check in, let them know what you're doing.
Yep. And then do a video. Video's everything. So do a video of you walking around and showing, hey, we're offering paint protection film. This is something that we're going to be adding on. 9 out of 10 of the customers that have come in. Again, 9 out of 10 is super important, Josh, and to everybody that listens to this. 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. A person's not going to want to be the one person that doesn't choose it. So every single time you're saying an offer, hey, 9 out of 10 of our customers go with a combination of PPF, ceramic coating, and window tint. Are you familiar with them? No. All right. What kind of questions do you have? Well, tell me a little bit about it. All right, cool. You make it super simple, stupid easy. Like 10 seconds, ceramic coatings, 10 seconds PPF, 10 seconds window tint, and ask them, if they want you to expand on any of it. But it takes 7 to 10 touch points for you to make a sale. It's very rare that somebody can make a sale on the first call. It's not our goal to make a sale on the first call. It's our goal to build that relationship and to start it. Then it's our job to follow up with them and make sure we touch those other 6 touch points to get them to a yes.
I think Matthew said that his average time to sell someone for like a close ratio from when he's first made contact is 8 days.
Yeah, that's about right. Yep.
And that's like, wow, that seems like a long time. But
if you're booked out for 8 days, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but we don't book out more than 2 weeks. Ever.
That's another huge thing in and of itself. It's like a lot of people like to pat themselves on the back for being booked out for months. But how many people want to wait over 2 weeks to have their car done?
That's just a security moment for that person, that business owner.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. Or they're to where I'm at, where they're just happy, which is totally cool. Totally fine. But it's typically security. And people like to, say, oh, I'm up till 4 a.m. and I'm booked out for a month.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm in bed by 8 and I wake up whenever I want and I'm happy and I'm booked out for like 2 days. Like right now, I think we're booked out 3 days. Great. Marwan down at Tinters, that's a person you should have on here. Beast. Never seen anything like it in my life. I know that, well, I could share this because it's going to be on your story, but he in 4 years with zero experience does $7.5 million a year at 2 locations. He's booked out no more than 48 hours. Think about that.
Wow.
Okay, so if you look at someone that's booked out for 3 months, it's doing 300 grand a year, which is awesome. It's incredible. I'll never downplay that. But if you want to build a successful business, you have the ability right then. So we have 22 people that have 35 working hours a week. So we're almost at 700 billable hours every single week that we have to fill. We fill by billable hours. You have almost 700 billable hours. If you look at somebody that's booked out for 10 weeks, so 10 weeks of 40 hours at 400 hours. So what they get done in 10 weeks in 2.5 months, we do every single week. So look at that. Look at the scalability of that. They have the ability right now to probably hire 3 people and be perfectly fine. It's just the scare tactic of, oh, I don't have anything coming in 3 days. Perfect. I love when customers of mine say they don't have anything coming in 3 days. Like that's a perfect position, dude. Think about the consumer. You always want to put yourself in the shoes of the consumer. Do you want to wait 2.5 months, or you want to wait 3 days? What Marwan does, which we actually just started doing, we put it on the screen behind us, is he actually pulls up his schedule, which shows 300 cars that are coming through that month, and he'll say, I have a fill-in right here. So it's not like, oh, they're desperate to get jobs, and he's got his you're able. He has to extend it to the day because there's so many damn jobs coming through. So from a customer side, they're like, holy crap, this is wild. You guys get this much done in 2 days? We sure do. Super efficient. We have a great team. Your car's not going to have to sit here for 3 weeks.
So where's he at? Where's Marwan at located?
He's in Tampa and Orlando. So he started in Orlando, and then they just opened up their second location in Tampa, and then they have some ideas to potentially open up a few more.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to reach out to him. I'd love to have him on.
Yeah, I can connect with him. He's a man. So just shit like that. But at the end of the day, Josh, I'm no different than you. I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just another dude. So I had a vision that I executed on. That's all it was. Could I go and grow this thing up to be the level of Marwan's? Yeah. Do I want it? No. Could I dim it down to, would I be happy at doing 100 grand a year versus what I'm doing now? Yeah, sure. But I'm no different. This market and this industry provides fruitfulness across the board. So I just got a lot of great people behind me, and a lot of people I trust, and a lot of people that trust me. But there's zero difference between you or anybody else. You can go get it. You just got to execute on it.
Well, thank you for sharing and for taking the time with me today.
Yeah, dude.
I'm super grateful.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'd love to do it again at some point. This has been great for me. I hope it has for everyone listening. Well, thanks again, Grant, and we'll see you on the next one.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.